Gamespot TV. We check out a band of hardcore gamers. These singing cards put gaming into a whole new light. And we hit the dirt tracks to pull a few wheelies in our review of Excite Bike 64. Plus, prepare to be a rock star. Lauren Fielder shows us the latest music game from Japan. Stick around, it's game time.
Hello and welcome to Gamespot TV. I'm Adam Sessler.
And I'm Kate Patello, and we are in Mobius's airtight garage at the Metreon in San Francisco.
This place is an excellent example of network arcade gaming, and it's also designed by the French graphic artist Mobius.
Should we just kick off the show?
All right.
All right. So there's a new website right now that's trying to be an online music publisher, which in itself really isn't anything new.
But this site is unique. It's called Beats for Geeks, and they only have music about games or gaming.
Yeah, and they've signed a band called Electric Fun Stuff, penning songs about games.
We got the inside scoop on this band, and let me tell you, they're a unique one.
I'm a game designer and a race non-fighter. I spend most of my time dreaming. Got this idea for me, and it came to me, and it's gonna be the next big thing.
We spent so much time playing games, we wanted to, justify our actions. You know, when you're sinking 10, 20, 30 hours a week into these things, and your girlfriend's about to leave you, and your parents think you're insane, and all this is going on.
You can say,
I'm a professional. Yeah, we've got 2 songs out now. One is called The Next Big Thing, which is actually about the process of creating games and having a bunch of conflicting personalities of the marketer and the designer and the producer and the graphic artist, and they each have a completely different vision, and they fail to talk to each other, which unfortunately happens in real life too.
Shooting games spin, so we'll need to rethink in terms of a strategy game. But kids don't sweat it. The gamers will get it, and the basic idea's the same.
The other song is about EverQuest. It's called Has Anybody Here Seen My Corpse? And we were just playing a lot of EverQuest. When you die, you lose your body, and you have to go run to find it again to get your stuff because you've invested so much money and time in it. And
people always shout. We notice they always use this wording. Has anybody here seen my corpse?
With an engine separation, I sure need a break. I wish I had a break. It's not and I can't see danger in front of me. Has anybody here seen my corpse?
anybody who plays EverQuest will instantly understand, has anybody here seen my corpse, once they get the translation of the title. And
sure. Like, yeah, Beats for Geeks, I mean, it's the first online music label, one of the first, and it's exclusively dedicated to gamers.
Beats for Geeks wants to grow and become your online destination for music. So we want your feedback, we want your music. Send us your stuff. We'll post it up on our website. We might produce you. Send us your feedback. We want to give you what you want to hear.
There's room probably for the music from the games, which is getting better and better. And we have this new thing which we sort of backed into, which is the music about games. And that could be a big field.
Thanks, well, it's been fun. 5 more minutes and I'm done. I've been saying that to myself since yesterday.
Nobody has tried to capture the gamer lifestyle and sort of express that through various different media, and I think that's what Beats for Geeks and Gameloft is trying to do.
Be right there, sugar, just as soon as I kill that Shadow Wolf. This game is back, it's where it's at. It's got maps of feel and swing. It's a first-person single-player action jam, and it's sure to be the next big thing. Yeah, it's sure to be the next big thing.
Well, those guys have played a lot of games, haven't they?
Like we haven't?
Good point. Well, if you would like to find out more about Electric Fun Stuff's music, or you would like to submit some of your own tunes to Beats for Geeks, come to the Gamespot TV website for more details.
All right, now let's have some gaming news.
A few weeks after Looking Glass Studios released its highly anticipated Thief 2, its doors were closed for good. With Thief 2 costing nearly $2.5 million to make and spending an additional $3 million on a new flight simulator game, Looking Glass ran out of money. The company officially closed down and laid off its 60 employees after IDOS Interactive backed out of a plan to acquire Looking Glass. Sega Japan has announced disappointing financial results due to the Dreamcast poor performance in the territory. The company posted a net loss of 42.9 billion yen. The company also said that killer titles such as Shenmue, Space Channel 5, and Virtuous Breaker 2 fell below projections due to market maturity. A game called Squire's Quest might entice kids to eat more fruits and vegetables, according to the scientists who are creating and testing it with children in Houston elementary schools. Each child playing the game starts as a squire and enters into training to become a knight. Knights help to protect an imaginary kingdom called Five-A-Lot from invaders bent on destroying its fruits and vegetables.
See, kids, all the more reason to eat your fruits and vegetables.
Or the aliens will get you. If you want more about gaming music, come to the Gamespot TV website. There you'll find our Spotlight feature and streaming video, as well as a link to the Beats for Geeks website.
And here's a perk. We also have downloadable MP3s of their songs.
Coming up on Gamespot TV, Superheroes Unite. There's a fighting frenzy in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Welcome back.
That was fun. Although I never heard about anybody getting claustrophobic playing EverQuest.
Well, for some, one world is not enough. And so we have the EverQuest expansion pack, The Ruins of Cunard.
In attempting to satisfy the appetite of EverQuest fans, Barrett has released The Ruins of Cunard, an EverQuest expansion. Skeptics should note Cunard's sheer size makes it far more than just an add-on. This huge continent introduces a new playable race and countless monsters to pick on. The graphical improvements from the original EverQuest are noticeable, and Cunard's indigenous life forms are superb. The game's cover boys are the Ixar, the new playable characters. These folks are hunched lizard men with long whipping tails. These guys have a lot going for them, as they can see in the dark, swim swiftly, and can run like the wind. The game's various zones are excellent in that they're expansive, varied, and interconnected. These areas are also graphically pleasing with lots of depth. There's also an incentive in upgrading from the original EverQuest, as high-level characters can get new skills in this continent. The game's little nuances are a treat. The non-player characters speak to you with friendly responses, and there's an emphasis on exploring and spontaneity. The one drawback is the game's sound, or lack thereof. The game's new features are its main draw. Newcomers will enjoy its accessibility, and veterans will be pleased that Cunard solves some of the problems seen in the original game. With The Ruins of Cunard, it's clear that EverQuest is better than ever, and once again, the best online role-playing game around. GameSpot.com gives EverQuest The Ruins of Cunard an 8.8 out of 10.
So one of the things that makes fighting games the most fun is coming up with an interesting combination of opponents to go with. Now, that aspect is really obvious in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is a pretty intriguing mix, although not quite as intriguing as superheroes and lounge music. See for yourself.
Soon to hit Dreamcast systems this summer is the fourth installment in Capcom's Versus series, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And while you might assume that you'll get more of the same, Capcom proves that there is still lots of life in the 2D fighter realm. It also helps that this release has a whopping 56 characters. In keeping up with competing 2D fighters, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 employs full 3D backgrounds, adding more than just a dressed-up look to this already beautiful title. Like any Capcom fighter, the action is mind-numbing, further accentuated by the various assist modes, which has the potential for executing some really tasty eye candy. Fans will enjoy having to pick 3 characters, which lengthens the average time of battle. Among the 56 guys and dolls stuffed into this game, we have newcomers Ruby Hart and Jill from Resident Evil. Come on, come on, come on! Old favorites return, such as Dr. Doom and Cable, and who can't forget Spider-Man, Strider, and Mr. Ryu. What might confuse the fans is the unorthodox fighting soundtrack, a melange of loungy sophisto-pop and breezy jazz more suited to racing games or something. The arrival of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 should remind gamers that the 2D fighter can still take on their 3D counterparts any time of day.
Between Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Power Stone 2, there seems to be an emerging trend of hyperactive fighters over at Capcom. But what better way to cool our jet than with a nice trick? So here's one from Bobby in Grover Beach.
Okay, here's a hint for the classic Game Boy game, Zelda Link's Awakening. Now, go to the general store where you can buy goods with your hard-earned cash. If you would prefer not to pay for it, you can simply pick up the item, run behind the counter and out the door quickly. You'll get your goods for free, but the next time you come back in, the clerk will kill you. Reload, and you got the item for free. It's a great choice if you need that bow, but you don't have the 900-odd rupees it takes to buy it.
So if Bobby's V-mail went by a little bit too fast for you, we're on the Gamespot TV website.
And make sure you check out our interview with one of the creators of the Ruins of Cunard and find out what's behind the world of EverQuest.
Coming up on GameSpot TV, Excite Bike has been updated from the NES, and the new Nintendo 64 title takes the checkered flag. And we take a look at Sanity. It's a real mind game.
here in the newfangled surroundings of the airtight garage of Metreon, I still have a chance to harken back to the classic days of the NES and one of my favorite titles of all time, Excite Bike.
All right, well, lucky you, because your old friend is back and muddier than ever, and we mean that in a good way. Check out our review of Excite Bike 64.
Excite Bike was a Class A title with a reputation that remained untouched for 15 years. Now, though, the franchise is seeing its rebirth in the 3D dirt bike extravaganza, Excite Bike 64. Nintendo delivers all of the unadulterated gameplay and panache of the NES Excite Bike with the release of Excite Bike 64. And you can choose from one of 6 riders, each with his or her own handling characteristics. Each course gives way to another that's more twisty and bumpy than the last. Visually, Excite Bike 64 looks awesome, with dirt and mud flying from the waterlogged muck. Unfortunately, the frame rate could be better as the action jitters just a little bit. The slowdown isn't damaging to the quality of the game as a whole, but it is noticeable. The game's sound is just short of perfect. Excite Bike 64 cranks with jarring crashes and a garage full of realistic motorcycle sounds. All told, Excite Bike 64 is an excellent rebirth of the Excite Bike franchise. The visuals aren't perfect, but they are stunning nonetheless. Most importantly, the game is both fun and addicting, giving oldsters and youngsters alike a chance to revel in the glory that is Excite Bike. Gamespot.com gives Excite Bike 64 an 8.8 out of 10.
All right, now be aware that because the controls are a little bit tricky, Excite Bike 64 has about an hour's worth of learning curve on it that you have to get through before you can race full out. It's pretty funny, considering that it takes about an hour to learn how to ride a dirt bike, but you can try to save the world pretty much right away. Of course, psychic powers don't hurt either. Let's take a look at Sanity.
Sanity, Aiken's artifact, takes place in a world where government agents and terrorists alike carry heavy firepower. But we're not talking typical artillery.
There's nowhere left for you to run.
In the world of Sanity, some children are born with psionic powers, which let them perform feats like levitating, hurling heavy objects, or summoning creatures to do their bidding. But not all psionicists are evil. In Sanity, you'll assume the role of Agent Kane, a veteran operative and powerful psionicist. Kane's ability to instantly create fires has been harnessed by a top-secret government program in a hidden lab known as the Aiken Institute. In the game, Kane is sent on a clandestine mission to save the world from a diabolical group of psionic criminals who are bent on taking over the world. Insert evil laugh here. In the process, he'll not only battle enemies armed with conventional weapons, but will also tangle with rival psionicists, some of whom have powers that equal or exceed his own. Gamers who have always wished for cool powers will be able to put Kane's fiery talents to the test this fall when Sanity is scheduled for release.
Can't wait to try out my psionic powers on that one.
I don't know. I'm just having too much fun rolling in the mud with Excite Bike 64.
All right, if you missed our review for Excite Bike 64, it's all on the Gamespot TV website and beautiful streaming video.
And while you're there, take our poll. Tell us which classic update is your favorite. Is it Pac-Man 3D?
Asteroid 3D?
Perhaps Frogger?
Or Excite Bike 64?
Coming up on Gamespot TV, Lauren Fielder and Jeff Gerstmann show off their drumming skills. And we have a strategy guide for Siphon Filter 2.
as you know, we have kind of a penchant for dancing games here. We've already shown you Dance Dance Revolution and Space Channel 5, and now we have a title on a similar vein.
Yes. This time it's drumming, and it's not the kind that's going to keep your neighbors awake at night. It's for the PlayStation 2, and Lauren Fielder and Jeff Gertzman are back to tell us about Drum Mania.
You know, playing music and playing games used to be two entirely different things. Unless you think about that old Journey game, but that's another story entirely. Konami's come along with its Bimani series and brought us the likes of Guitar Freaks, which we've already shown to you. And now Jeff here at VideoGames.com is playing Drum Mania. Mania indeed, and drumming, perhaps. So if you remember the Guitar Freaks clip that we showed you, this looks essentially the same way. And you can actually play this game with Guitar Freaks. What you do, you follow along with the rhythm and the beat being shown on the screen, and you hit in sync with the hi-hat, with the snares, with the foot pedal, and essentially you have to drum to a sequence of songs that start off pretty simple and eventually get pretty difficult. Like other Konami titles in the series, the game is really more fun with the peripheral. You want to be able to drum, not sit with a controller and tap out in sync with notes being shown on the screen. What we're really hoping for, though, is that Konami pulls all these titles together for the ultimate video game band.
Well, looks like Jeff is ready to start his own band. Now, this next intro is hopefully not a vision of the future that's to come. Earth is a wasteland through overpopulation and pollution. So the humans have to pack it up and go into space in Earth 2150. So kids, start your recycling now.
Unforeseen movements of the Earth's tectonic plates are having a disastrous effect on the planet's climate. Tons of volcanic ash thrown into the atmosphere have blocked out the sun.
Earth's orbit has changed.
The final expedition has been completed. Never before has the universe witnessed such a mighty fleet. According to the master evacuation plan, our invincible army will now assemble the crew. This operation will carry the code name Mars. At our orbiting construction site, work has begun on the docking station. Our construction force will complete an evacuation ship within 30 days. The first evacuation ship is ready for orbiting the sun. This glorious achievement will prove our spirit once and for all.
You know, it's really easy to forget that action games are not just about running around and shooting people. Well, I mean, of course, they kind of are. But even the most frenetic shooter can learn the advantages of being a little sneaky. So for Siphon Filter 2, we learned that it never hurts to get by with a little stealth from your friends.
It's a mad, mad world in Siphon Filter 2. The game's 21 stages serve up more than just a handful of pesky snipers and grenade-throwing vermin. We at Gamespot TV thought you could use a hand.
They've got guards patrolling everywhere. I'll have to be careful.
First and foremost, the game demands a great deal of stealth. Yes, there are stages where you simply charge head-on with guns ablazing, though expect to do more slow walking and wall hugging like your life depended on it. You should also learn to use your lower shoulder button. This is useful in peeking behind objects you're using to avoid gunfire. Your taser becomes your best friend in Stage 2. When you reach the locker area, creep behind the guard, zap him, then hit the switch. Quickly run to the door you just opened before it closes. Now make your way to the door on the left to avoid being seen by another guard. As he passes you, zap him too. Repeat with the guard down the hall.
When the charges are set, I'm going to call for evac to the bridge, and then we blow it. Until then...
Stage 4 can be tricky because you have to take out the commander without calling the attention of others. Begin by going along the ledge of the bridge until you reach the first truck where you'll find a gas grenade. Then head back to the commander to take him out as well as his buddy. Next, make your way down to the steel girders and pick off the bomb specialist. In Stage 8, don't feel the need to take out everyone you come across. After the second checkpoint, make your way to the beginning of the stage by running and rolling along the right wall. At the end, be ready to hit Archer with your sniper. You'll need to be stealthy in Stage 9, one of the largest stages in the game. Stay in touch with your surroundings, as foes from now on are smarter and more agile. Also, keep on the lookout for ventilation shafts, as you'll need them to get around this place. Facing off against Grigorov in Stage 14 could be a nuisance. The key here is distraction. He can't kill what he can't see, so take out the park light before you take out his.
That's the best you can do.
We'll leave the rest to you. Just remember, stealth is king.
See? What did we tell you? Sneakiness is key. That was some pretty good advice.
And if you have any other tips or tricks, please share them with us by sending an email.
Or if you want to do it live, you can just join us in our chats, which are on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. So until then, here's another tip for you. If you're ever on fire,
Stop, drop, and roll. Bye-bye.
Hey, let's go.